Hello, everybody. Welcome tonight. Sorry I missed you guys last week. Been under the weather for about a week now. I think I'm gonna finally go get myself checked out. No COVID though, thank God. But I'm gonna be okay. What I want to do tonight, so I'm probably gonna take a little hiatus until the beginning of the year after tonight, and just enjoy the holidays, and we'll be back in January. So, but tonight we're gonna end it with the what I call a pretty prophetic message and something that will encourage you in the season of your life. Hopefully. Um, so we just go get right in it. We're gonna um, we're gonna be in Genesis 30, chapter 32. Um, Genesis chapter 32, 24 through 32. That'll be where we'll be focusing on a little bit tonight. So um, I want to get into this, and I call this the anyway season because first of all, I was listening to a song called "Anyway" on Zacardi Cortez' new album. You need to get that album. That album is fire. But anyway, I was listening to that song, and the word "anyway" just really just stuck in my spirit, and I began to think about it. And I was like, "This is an anyway season." Um, as I said in my statements um, on the event, that we can't disregard righteous living and holiness, and we can't take grace for granted. But there's a time in our lives where we we have nothing to do with what God is going to do with our lives, and He just simply wants to bless us simply because He loves us. The details don't matter at this point. And the majority of times in our life, the details do matter. I'm not saying they don't, but there's a season of our lives where we got to understand that we feel, you can feel when Christmas time is coming. You can feel when there's a new year approaching. There's a sense, there's a feeling in the air. Uh, there's things going on to remind you. Christmas music, uh, Christmas trees, holiday programming on TV, all the different things. It's a sign that there's a season here. The holiday season is here. And so, and I know everybody says it's my season, it's my season, it's my season, and there's always the season. The issue with us as believers is knowing what season we're in, because it's no good to know it's my season and it's 20 degrees outside and you got on shorts because you don't understand that it's summer. There's not summer, it's winter. So it's not as important to know it's your season that is knowing what season that you're in. And sometimes and it helps sometimes understanding what season you're in helps you understand why certain things are happening in your life. And sometimes it'll dilute all the questions that you have. Because if you go outside and you see snow falling in the sky and it's winter, you don't have any questions about that because you understand that is winter, and that in the wintertime it may snow. If you go outside and it's scorching hot and it's in the middle of July, you have no issues with that. There's no questioning on that. There's no doubt because you understand it gets hot in the summertime, and you understand that this is summertime. But I mean, oftentimes we don't never listen to God enough or understand and get enough details to understand what particular season that you're in your life. And sometimes I know we all share seasons in the earth. When it's summer for everybody. It's not just for one person. But sometimes God has specific seasons in your life. Somebody else may be uh, in a winter and you might be in a summer. And so you got to understand in the spirit realm, your seasons don't have to match up with somebody else's season. It depends on what you want to endure and what you've endured and how you reacted to the things that's come at you in your life. Depends on what season that you're in. It's almost like a video game. It depends on what you how you perform, what level you're on the game. Did you get gobbled up, or did you get past the ghost, or did you do this? Did you do that? And so everybody's not on the same level. It doesn't mean somebody's better than the other person, or God likes this person better than that person. Sometimes the level that you're on based upon performance, or based upon survival, based upon your decisions that you make along the way. And so, but there's a season in our lives where I call it And I'm gonna tell you up front, what the anyway season is when God says it doesn't matter. You've been misunderstood. I'm gonna bless you anyway. You've been lonely, but I'm gonna bless you anyway. You've been talked about, backstabbed, but I'm gonna bless you anyway. You made some mistakes. You've done some stupid stuff, but I'm gonna bless you anyway. Because that's a season where God says, man, what I do in your life is not dictated by your actions at all. You have no part in this. A lot of times we join heirs with Him and we work alongside with God. And some things can't happen unless we work alongside with God for them to happen. But there's some things that God just strategically ordains. That God strategically says this is going to happen regardless of what you do, what you say, what they say, because it's just ordained for you to be in that place at that time. It's just ordained for you to get that blessing at that time. And I feel like there's some people that you survived some things, and you overcome some things where you could have quit, and God says, "I'm gonna bless you anyway." And people say you don't deserve it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And so you're in that season where don't think you're so great, or you've done so many good things, and you're such a good person that God's gonna go bless you so well. No, it's because He loves you ultimately. And so I want to look at this short passage of scripture with Jacob wrestling with the angel. You familiar with it if you're churchy like me. But I'm gonna start at verse 24. And we all know this story, like you say, if you have a church background. But if you don't, we're gonna look at it. It says, then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. And so you find Jacob coming. I'm not giving the backdrop of this whole thing, but Jacob was left alone. That's the message, all of it itself. A lot of you guys, you've been through a season of isolation, a season where you feel like God is taking away your resources. You already feel like you don't have enough resources, and God has already taken away that. He's taken away your comfortability. I don't know if that's a word, but He's taken away the things that you utilize. What's up, Sylvester? The things that you've been comfortable with, the tools that you were used to using, some of those things have been taken away from you. And He's left you. You feel like God's left you alone. And you don't not quite sure if God's for you or He's against you, because you don't feel God, you don't see God, you don't see anything happening, any movement, any motion in your life. And so He says, then Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him until the breaking of day. So He leaves you alone to wrestle. Why He leaves you alone to wrestle? Why are you wrestling? Should you be wrestling? You know, when you look at the story in this whole context, there shouldn't have been a wrestling match going on, because what happens is people laugh when I say this, because when you decide to be a Christian, you decide to commit suicide. That's why I don't have to commit suicide in the earth and in this time, in this season of my life, because I already did it when I came into Christ. I died to myself and I became alive in Christ. And so what happens, that's what's supposed to happen, but we all know that's a process. But what happens is, and that's why what happens when a coach, I remember we used to run suicides, and they still run suicides to this day. And a lot of times when you're not practicing like you should, when you out of shape and you're not hustling like you should, the coach will make you run suicides. Why? In order to motivate you and tell you that, and or to form into the thing that he wants you to do. And you say, if you don't want to run these suicides, then you'll buy into the system, or you'll do what you're supposed to do. And so a lot of times God will. What I'm trying to say is God will take you through a season of isolation, and he'll make you run suicides, and he'll make you go through a wrestling match. He'll make you wrestle in order to kill that part of you that's still alive. That's all God's trying to do. That's all our lives is about. God trying to kill that flesh. God trying to kill that part of us. He might make you might be wrestling with your attitude. You might be wrestling with your mental outlook and how you look at things. You might be wrestling with your emotions. You might be wrestling spiritually. You might be wrestling whatever area you're wrestling in. God will cause you to wrestle, because He's trying to kill that flesh in that area of your life. He's trying to get you to the point of where, and then He'll bless you anyway, because He wants to show you, I do everything I do for you, not because you've been good, but because I'm good. And so the blessings of God don't come upon you because you've been good or you did the right thing. And of course, if you do good things and you sow good things, you'll reap good things most of the time. And so that is true. But at the same time, the basis of God's blessings, the basis of the things that He does in our lives, are based upon his love and nothing else. I love you and I'm for you and I want the best for you. That's what God does. And so he left this man Jacob was alone. And some of you might can relate to this. You've been in your life. You feel like, man, don't nobody understand what I'm facing. Don't nobody understand what I'm happening. I'm wrestling night after night. I'm not resting. I'm not. My mind is going all over the place. My emotions are all over the place. I'm just in a mess. And then outwardly, physically, things are a mess. In a mess. I'm transitioning. All these different things are happening in my life. And he says, but Jacob was left alone. He wrestled with him until the breaking of the day. Now he saw that he did not prevail against him. So otherwise, not that this angel in the man or the angel was sent from God, and that was actually a representation of God. So Jacob was really wrestling with God. And why I say God can't whoop Jacob or he can't win a match with Jacob? No, sometimes we're adamant about doing it our way. Sometimes we're adamant about winning or adamant about it being done like this versus doing it like God says do it. And so when God sees that we're adamant about winning or adamant about having it our way, he'll say, okay, I'm done wrestling with you. Let's go to the next level. He said, when he couldn't prevail against him, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hips was out of joint as he wrestled with him. So God says, okay, if I can't bend your will or get you to submit on your own, then I have to take away your mobility, take away your regular functioning where you can't move like you used to move, where you can't do the things you used to do. And now you have to look at things differently. Now you have to depend on things you never depended on. Now you have to depend on people you don't want to depend on skills that you're not comfortable depending on. You have to systems that you're not used to. All these different things. And so so he wrestled. He wrestled because it was part of Jacob that was still alive, that God wanted dead. And see, God says, man, I saved you, and then I'm gonna turn around and I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna get rid of that flesh because I want to be glorified in your life. And but I'm gonna bless you anyhow. There's season in your life, God says, it don't matter. This is your season. I'm just gonna bless you. The song says, this is your season for favor and blessings. This is your season. God's leaning in your direction. There's a time where God just leans in your direction. And you got to know when God's leaning in your direction. You won't be shocked when things are happening. You be like, wow, wow. And you won't get caught up in yourself because you give God all the glory. Because if you bless him anyway, he gonna bless you anyway. You'll get that later. So hey mom. So if you bless him, he said, I'll bless you. So we continue to bless him anyway and give him the praise because it's his praise anyway. So when he does these things, he know you're gonna give him the glory. He's gonna take you through these seasons where he's able to bless you because he knows you go give him the glory, and you're gonna bless other people because you've been blessed. And that's the thing God wants to do. And so this is a season that God takes your life through, and people won't understand it. People will hate on you for those seasons. People will talk about you. People will analyze and dissect your intentions and things like that. You look at this Coach Prime situation I've been following. Excuse me, this Coach Prime situation. Some people mad at him, some people are happy for him, some people are this, some people are that. But in a way, at the end of the day, that's between him and God. They can say, "Oh well, he said God sent him here. He did." We can try to dissect it anyway, but God blessed him anyway, and we can't get mad and hate on that because what God has done for him, because of his sacrifice, because of the things that he's done. And so I can say a lot more about that, but we're not talking about that tonight. But there's a season where God will bless you anyway, in spite of all the articles, in spite of all the criticism. Because I'm gonna say this about that situation: if he had losing seasons, those same people that are mad at him for leaving would have been the same people that were hired, that would have had signs up saying fire him. And people are not loyal, but they want you to be loyal, and that's all I can say. So here's the thing: when you go through this anyhow season, you got to know it's the anyhow season, so you can seize the opportunity, seize the time when you understand that God's favor is in the atmosphere. Just like in the winter, snow is in the atmosphere, cold cold wind is in the atmosphere. Just like in the summer, heat is hot. You got to understand. that you're in a season of the anyway, that God says, man, I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna do it anyway. I know you got circumstances stacked against you. I know your child's acting a fool, but I'm gonna take care of your child anyway. I'm gonna cover your child anyway. It's just like that. The anyway blessing is kind of like when Abraham and Sarah laughed when God said you're gonna have a child, and they laughed, and then they came up with this thing where he goes he goes she came with this they came with their own plan that he would go sleep with the maid servant, and he got her pregnant, and he had a child, but that wasn't the child he was supposed to have. I mean, what did God say? I'm gonna bless him anyway. I'm gonna bless Ishmael anyway. There was some things that happened, transpired after that, where Ishmael had to be put out the house. But at the same time, God says, I'm gonna bless Ishmael anyway. So there's a time, even when you make the wrong decisions, even when you try to make it happen on your own and don't consult God or disregard God's instruction, God says, I'm gonna do it anyway. And so don't let the devil talk you out of your blessing because you say you messed some things up, because you've done some wrong things, because you thought some wrong things, or because you've entertained some wrong things. God says, no, don't worry about it. My grace is sufficient, and I'm gonna do it anyway. I know you did some stupid stuff, but I'm gonna do it anyway because lo, I'm with you always, even until the end of the world. I won't lie to you. What I promise to you, it still stands. And so you got to understand that. And so as this year goes out, some of you in the next 3 or 4 weeks, as we enter new year, you're going to begin to see those anyway blessings. Those blessings come in your life, not just for you to talk about and brag about and post on Facebook, but for people to see the real glory of God and how God's grace is really sufficient, how God looks beyond our faults and he sees our needs. That's what you want people to see. I'm like this, but he blessed me anyway. I'm like this, and that don't mean God just let you off the hook and let you do what you want to do. But there's a time when God says, "Man, my hand is on your life. I'm pouring out something over your life that's different. I'm taking you to a dimension that's different than you've been in before. I'm bringing opportunity that I've never brought you before. I'm doing something in your life that you've never experienced before, and I'm doing it anyway, in spite of the all the things that the odds that stacked against you, despite of all the circumstances that's overwhelming." And then he touched his socket, so he messed his mobility up, so he couldn't run no more. Excuse me, he couldn't run. So you got to put you in a position where you can't run no more. I remember my mama whooping me at times. I would try to run, but there come to a point where I get caught in the corner, and I had no more options, and I couldn't run. I just had to take the whipping. I had to take whatever she was gonna do because I couldn't run no more. Got to get you to the point where you can't run from him anymore, where you can't do it your way continuously and expect to be blessed by God. And so God says, man, I'm just allow you to wrestle, and I'm allow you to limp, and I'm allow you to do this, but I'm not gonna allow you to be destroyed. But I allow you to limp, and I allow you to go through some circumstances until that part of you dies that I'm trying to kill. Because I love you, but that part of you, I want it to die. He said, let me, he touched the socket of his hip, and the socket of Jacob's hip was out of joint. And as he wrestled with him, nothing will make you change your mind about some pain. Pain will cause you to make some different decisions in your life. People don't, no matter what color you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what background you have, nobody likes to hurt. Nobody likes pain. And so when you get to a position of pain, and sometimes pain will cause you to recognize things you didn't recognize before. Pain will actually cause you to make decisions you never make before because you don't want the pain to be there, and you'll make decisions. And so God sometimes allows pain to bring healing. Sometimes God allows pain to be used to get rid of the chaos. Sometimes he'll use pain in order for you to look at things differently. And he said, let me go for the day breaks. But he said, I will not let you go until you bless me. And so at some point in the wrestling, Jacob recognized, hold up, I'm wrestling God. I'm fighting against God. I'm fighting against God's will. I'm fighting against the very essence of who God made me. I'm fighting myself. See, when you fight yourself, you're actually fighting God. because God made you in His image, because God's glory is inside of you, and His will is for you to do His will. And so when you fighting who you are, you're fighting God because that's who God made you. And so God says, man, why are you fighting? Why are you wrestling? Let me go, let me go. When we get to the point, the man said, and the angel said, let me go. Jacob made a good decision. He said, I'm not gonna let you go until you bless me. Jacob said, I'm not gonna go through all this pain. I'm not going through all this hell in my life. I'm not going through all this disappointment. I'm not going through all this shame and guilt and all these mistakes and all the things that I've done in my life and not get nothing out of it. He said, we got too far. We in the wrestling match now. I know we shouldn't even be here wrestling because I should have surrendered on my own. But since we're here wrestling, oh no, I'm not letting you go till you bless me. I'm not gonna allow what I went through to be wasted. See, some of you giving up, that's what happens, man. When people give up in their life, they waste all the pain, the tears, the things they learn, all the things that they went through. It's just like pouring water out of a water bottle, wasted instead of drinking it. We just pour it down and drain. That's what giving up is. And that's why the devil wants you to give up because he wants your tears to be wasted. He wants your pain to be wasted. He wants your disappointment to be wasted. The life lessons that you learn, regardless of why you learned them and why you went through them, the things that you learn, he wants the strength that you gain to be forfeited. And he wants to defeat you and cause you to not fulfill the will of God over your life. But God says, in spite of all of that, you're the season of anyway. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna get you there. Leader Adams always said, I don't care how you get there, just get there when you can. Get there, just get there. I don't care if you ride the bus, I don't care if you ride the plane, you fly on a plane, if you get on a train, I don't care how you get there, just get there. That's what God says, man. I'm gonna get you there. How you get there, that's up to you. So but don't waste your pain. Don't waste your storms. Don't waste the trauma that you've been through in your life and call it things that you say, I want to get past all of that. Yeah, you want to get past it. You don't want it to make you dysfunctional, but you want to take those things and cause those things to bring a strength over your life. You want to cause those things to bring wisdom in your life. You want to take those things and allow those things to produce fruit in your life, not just go through for nothing. We don't go through for nothing. Nobody goes through for nothing. Jesus didn't get on that cross for nobody to get saved, for nobody to get healed. That wasn't the plan. He got on that cross and he expected every single individual to get, he wanted every individual to be saved. He wanted every individual to be healed. He wanted every individual to be redeemed. He died for each one of us. He didn't die for it to, he didn't die to not have results. He didn't die for nothing because he could have came off that cross, but he stayed on it and he was faithful to it. And it's the same way that we got to be. Let me read this last part and we're going to be done. Excuse me. So he said to him, what is your name? He said, Jacob. And he said, your name shall no longer be called. I'm sorry. He said, your name shall no longer be called Jacob. Or you no longer be a trickster. You no longer be whatever you identify with before this moment, before this anyway blessing, before this season in your life. Don't identify what you used to identify with. Don't answer to what you used to answer to because your name is changing. When there's a name change, that shows that there's been an event in your life, a big event that causes for a name change. A woman changes her name when she gets married most of the time. She changes it because that's a huge event. There's been a transition, and it means there's been a change in the life of that person. And so when a name changes, that's huge. And so he said, what is your name? He said, you no longer be called Jacob. You no longer be that trickster, that person, that part of you that's been alive. I'm gonna kill it right now, and I'm gonna bring some glory out of your life. I'm gonna do what I said I was gonna do from the beginning. The work that I began in you, I'm gonna complete it. And then he says, what? He said Jacob. He said, "No, that's not your name anymore. But your name is Israel. For you have struggled with God and with men and have prevailed." He said, "One thing about you, Jacob, you survived it. You made some mistakes. You did some things wrong. You had, excuse me, you might have had a bad attitude along the way. You might have made some bad decisions, but you prevailed. You still here." And he said, "What? Your name is not Jacob, but Israel." He says, then Jacob asked, tell me your name, I pray. He said, "Why is that you ask about my name?" And he blessed him there. So Jacob called the name that place Peniel, which means the Lord's place, or for I've seen God face to face, and my life is preserved. Just as he crossed over, and that's the end. I don't have to read it further. But he blessed him right there on the spot because he prevailed. He endured. And I'm telling you, perfect. If you survive this year and you endured it and you learn some things and you take heed of what God has spoken to you and you've changed some of the way you do things and you've adjusted to those things, God says, man, you're in the anyway season. And that means you're going to see a tremendous level of favor over your life. You're going to see a tremendous level of things working out for your good. And you ain't gonna be able to you ain't gonna be able to describe it. You ain't gonna be able to explain it. It's just gonna work out for your good. And you gonna believe what God's been saying the whole time, that He's for you. He's not against you. He's not here to make your life miserable, but He's here to make your life better. He's here to enhance your life, not to tear your life down. Sometimes God doesn't make sense, but that doesn't mean He's not for you. Medicine is nasty, but that doesn't mean it won't heal you. I hate taking medicine, but I'll be a fool to believe that I can be sick and don't have to take any and think I'm gonna get well. So God is good. Just know that you're in your the anyway season. You're in that season where God's favor is over your life. Where don't quit. This is not the time to give up. This is the time to rejuvenate yourself, energize yourself, and know that as you come into this new year, this new season of your life, that your life won't be the same. Know that things you thought you couldn't do, you're gonna do. That the promises of God, some of you just been waiting on promises and things from God for decades. God's gonna bring it to pass. I've been prophesying it for years, saying God said He's gonna make the cricket road straight. And sometimes it takes a while for God's word to be fulfilled over your life. Not because God's not capable, it's because He has to wrestle with us for a while. And sometimes our wrestling match lasts for a while, sometimes for years, sometimes for decades, because we're determined that we're gonna prevail. We're determined that we ain't gonna give up. We go fight. We go keep fighting. And sometimes we gotta let go and let God say, God, you win. But sometimes we're not humble enough. Sometimes we're not submissive enough. And so God has to just keep wrestling with us. He keeps wrestling us and wrestling with us until we give up and say, God, that part of us that we gotta give up, that part of us that needs to die, that part of us that's hindering our lives, God will kill it through the wrestling. and but He'll continue to stick with you. He'll continue to guide you. He'll continue to watch over you. His grace is sufficient, but God will take you through that process and know that God's gonna bless you anyway. He's gonna bless you. People can say what they want to say. You can say what you want to say about yourself. You can doubt God. You can do this. You can do this. You can talk about so many things, scenarios. But when God says it, they used to tell me back when I was little. I used to hear the pastor say, "God said it. I believe it. That settles it." And sometimes God says, "My word is settled in the earth. My word, when I say something, there's nothing you can do with that." God says, "My word lasts forever. It stands for heaven, forever. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my word will stand forever." That means what I said matters. My word go outlive all of y'all. And when all y'all gone, my word still gonna be here. All right, I'm gonna stop coughing and get out. I'm done, and y'all pray for me, and I shake whatever this off. I know I'm gonna be okay. Uh, but just pray for me. I'll be praying for you guys, and I pray I'll probably do some pop ups or do some stuff before the year's out. But we're not gonna have a formal Tuesday night until January, and we go come back strong. I'm not gonna stop doing Tuesday nights. I'm just take a hiatus and and a break for a minute, and we're gonna be back strong. So you guys have a blessed holiday. You have a blessed week, and keep pressing toward the mark of the prize of the high calling of God in Christ. And be blessed. Love you guys, and I will talk to you guys later. And just be blessed. Good night.